Chapter 1096, Cooperation. At just past 6 in the morning, the entirety of Backlund remained dark. It was very quiet, with most areas being illuminated only by the street lamps. Wearing his pajamas, Klein sat on the bed and looked at Miss Messenger, who was carrying 4 heads. He rubbed his temples and asked helplessly, who sent the letter? Why couldn't he have a good night's rest? The 3 heads in Rionette Tinkier's hands replied one by one, that, particular, brainless. Servant of yours. Danitz, he prayed in the middle of the night in the past, and now he's sending letters in the morning. Klein took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Following that, he received the letter from Miss Messenger. When he opened it, his expression gradually turned solemn. This was because Danitz's and Anderson's discovery of Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy's location was extremely untimely. According to Klein's deductions, it wouldn't take long for the pirate admiral and demoness of White Catarina to regain their freedom. They wouldn't be hiding much, making it easier to find them. Now that they had dealt with the intelligence peddler, Bartz, and obtained the items to contact Tracy from him, the greatest possibility was that they had frightened the target and made her continue hiding. Of course, Klein could seek the help of Queen Mystic Bernadette to find a way to lock onto Vice Admiral Ailment through the mirror. However, the problem was that he suspected that the target's hiding place was an important stronghold of the Demoness sect. It might even be the headquarters where there were Grade 0 sealed artifacts. This way, even if he had confirmed the whereabouts of Tracy, he wouldn't dare to teleport over to capture her. Hence, any contact would alert the pirate admiral. And if he didn't take the opportunity to contact her, regardless of whether Bartz was dead or alive, the news would spread after daybreak. Similarly, Tracy would be on guard. Seriously, however, this is also because Anderson and Danitz don't know the truth. They don't know the changes in the situation of the Lone Kingdom. After some thought, he said to Miss Messenger, who was waiting by the side, "Wait for me. I'll write a reply." He had originally planned to teleport over directly to decide what to do next, but after some consideration, he still chose to write a letter. Although he believed that Zeratul wouldn't waste time on an obvious bait like Danitz, he still felt that he had to be more careful. If Zeratul didn't do so, it didn't mean that the members of the secret order under him would do the same. Such a huge secret organization definitely had a few demigods at the saint level. Once he got entangled by the other party, it would be a huge problem. All right. The head carried by Rionette Tinker that had failed to speak previously rushed to answer first. Klein got out of bed, walked out of the bedroom, and came to the room outside. He took out a pen and paper and wrote fluidly. Think of a way to make Bartz faint until dawn. Then leave his room immediately and stay far away. There is a great danger lurking there. Monitor Bartz again when daybreak arrives, but don't alarm him. The so-called danger was a half-truth, and his main goal was to get Anderson and Danitz to leave the scene, so as to draw away any possible spying. Putting down the pen and looking through it again, he folded the letter and handed it to his messenger, Rionette Tinker, who had followed him out. At 3:10 a.m. in the Berserk Sea, Thoreau's Island, Bartz's room. Danitz had just finished clearing the altar and wiping away the traces when he saw the terrifying messenger with 4 heads return. Jayam and Sparrow actually didn't come. Danitz reached out to receive the letter in surprise, then he took out a gold coin for the messenger. After the figure with 4 heads and dark, complicated long dress disappeared into the void, he opened the letter and quickly read through it. There's danger. Danitz's pupils dilated as he rushed towards the door as if he had been burned in the ass. After leaving the room, he said to Anderson, who was standing in the corridor with his back against the wall with an unlit cigarette in his mouth, "Quick, let's go. It's very dangerous here." Did Jayam and Sparrow say that? Anderson was taken aback as he asked thoughtfully. "Yes, how do you know? Couldn't it be that I discovered something?" Danitz replied instinctively. Heh." Anderson chuckled and asked rather relaxed, "What else did he say?" "Aren't you nervous? Jayam and Sparrow is very reliable on such matters." Danitz's focus was completely off. Anderson fell silent for a moment before saying, "His messenger is more reliable. At least, within the few minutes of his messenger's return trip, there won't be any danger here." If there really was any danger lurking here, they would silently shrink back when they saw the messenger. Danitz originally wanted to reply that it may seem so in terms of her image, but for some reason, he instinctively gave up on that sentence. He switched to saying, "Jayaman Sparrow also said to let Bartz pass out until dawn so that we can monitor him again when the sun rises without exposing ourselves." Anderson frowned. What does he want to do? There won't be any latent dangers anymore once the sun rises. Without waiting for Danitz to respond, the strongest hunter of the Fog Sea turned around and entered the room. He took out a small metal bottle he carried with him and pulled out the stopper. He placed it at the tip of Bartz's nose and moved it back and forth. "It's done, let's go." Anderson didn't hide his curiosity as he surveyed the area before leading Danitz out of Bartz's room and walked far into the distance. Backland, Empressborough, inside the Hall family's luxurious mansion. At 7:25 a.m., Audrey suddenly woke up from her dream. She dreamed of the boundless gray fog and dreamed of the world Jayaman Sparrow asking her to help hypnotize someone, making the target forget everything that had happened in the past 6 hours, as well as all the people who asked about a particular secret island. This is something that can be used as contributions needed for the manipulator potion formula and Beyonder characteristic. Also, Mr. World said that he would donate £7,000 for the war efforts. Audrey got off the bed very lightly and put a teal cloak over her white nightgown. Following that, she followed Jayaman Sparrow's instructions and set up a ritual praying for Mr. Fool's bestowment. The illusory door quickly took shape and opened, sending 3 items flying out and landing on the altar. One of them was a thin, human-skinned glove, the other was the instruction manual on a piece of paper, and the other was a neat stack of cash that wasn't tied up. "This is creeping hunger." Audrey scrutinized the altar and thanked Mr. Fool. Then she put on the glove and, according to the instruction manual, activated the spirit of the traveler. When the glove turned transparent, the 12 sacred angels with fiery wings suddenly appeared in front of her. This is the angel's embrace that Mr. World has requested. Its effect is to interfere with divination and prophecy powers at the scene, so as to ensure that my identity won't be exposed. Audrey's eyes darted around as she changed the lie accessory which she had already prepared into a silver mask, and she wore it on her face. Following that, she followed the coordinates given by the world Jayaman Sparrow and began the teleportation step. During this process, the strange scenery of the spirit world and all kinds of strange creatures left a deep impression on her. However, before she could carefully observe them, she arrived at her destination. She saw that the colors were saturated, and the stacked scenes rapidly faded away, becoming normal. It was still late at night outside. "It feels like I've recovered my feelings and mood from when I first entered the mysterious world." Audrey analyzed her mental state and focused her attention on the target lying on the floor in the room she was in. It was an unconscious man. The door to his body of heart and mind was rather weak, meaning that he was someone who could easily be charmed, even if it didn't involve Beyonder powers. Hypnotizing such a target wasn't difficult for Audrey. However, in order to digest the potion, she decided to use dreams to help with the hypnosis. The unconscious Bartz had a dream. He dreamed of a blurry female figure. In his dream, he believed that she was the most beautiful woman in the world, a perfect state that Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy could achieve. Bartz wildly chased her as he ran back and forth in the wilderness, hills, and mountains. However, he couldn't catch up to her, as though he had left behind something very important. After an unknown period of time, he woke up from exhaustion and slowly recalled what had happened last night. He was in a bad mood because of him losing money. He had fallen drunk after drinking only half a bottle of Lanty Proof. Up to now, his temples were still throbbing in pain. "I even knocked the back of my head." Bartz rubbed the swollen area and lumbered back to the bed. He fell into it and continued sleeping. And for Audrey, who had completed a milder form of hypnosis with the Dreamwalker's powers, she had long followed the world Jayaman Sparrow's instructions and restored the scene completely, leaving nothing suspicious behind. This was the ability of a senior spectator. Then she teleported back to Backland and sacrificed creeping hunger to Mr. Fool. The entire process didn't cause much of a stir. The Church of Evernight Beyonders in charge of protecting the Hall family were completely unaware. After dealing with all kinds of traces, Audrey pulled a bell and let the maidservants waiting outside enter. Her personal maidservant, Annie, gestured for the other maidservants to get busy as she said to Audrey, "Miss, there's a piece of news from the Bursary Foundation." "What news?" Audrey interpreted the shock, confusion, disbelief, joy, and curiosity in Annie's tone. Annie replied quickly that Miss Eudora, who needed to have her leg amputated, has completely recovered. It's as though she was never injured. This is a medical miracle. Audrey was similarly stunned. She had some guesses, but she didn't dare to confirm them. She lacked sufficient clues and evidence. Also, all the patients with serious medical conditions have fully recovered. At this point, Annie couldn't control herself. She lowered her voice and said, "I heard that there was a ghost wandering around. Half of its face had mushrooms growing all over, and the other half was covered in weeds. It ate illnesses, trauma, and grief. I don't know if it's true, but it's scary." Mushroom, weeds. Audrey repeated the two words, momentarily at a loss.